Welcome back, everybody. Once again, glad to see everybody still in the land of the living with us. And as always, I just want to start out with give me 1 second. I've lost some information in here. Oh well, I'll get it back later. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. But start out with seeing how everybody's doing. Starting up top, Steph and Lynn. Well, Lynn. I don't know where Steph is, so we'll start with you.
She's coming.
Oh, sorry about
In
that.
the room. About to enter the chat. With all this going on this week, it's just been a little bit crazy.
Yes.
Just a little bit.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. That's the easy way of saying it. That's the easy way of saying it. So, yeah, that bit crazy. Wig. Steph, is that you on the side?
Hey, we might as well get into it. It's been a long week. Let's go and get into
it. He sounds like Richard. Man. Well, okay. Right. 1 second here, 1 second. I'm having some issues on here. No biggie. Not a big deal at all. So, Rich, how has your week been?
It's been great. Let's get to it.
Okay, well then we will jump right into it. All right. So give me 1 second here. I'm trying to fix something real fast. There we go. I didn't know what was hindering me, but I figured it out. Technical difficulties. It happens to all of us. Anyway, so yeah, just to jump back on what you were saying there, Lynn, there's a lot that's happened across America, not just with Iran and Iran and all that other good stuff, but in our legal system as well. And so I just wanted to take a quick pause and check the pulse, as it were, and jump into a little bit of somewhat critiquing the United States of America in short review, as it were. That's why the title of today's podcast is Double Standards, America in Short Review. And for some people, they read that as a question. For others, they read it as a flat out statement. And some people flat out want to deny that altogether, right? So let's give an honest critique and review of America, in short, not necessarily. Well, and I'm sure some of the topic will go back to the 1800s, even the founding of the country, as it were. And I think it's fair to dig into some of that history to talk about where we are now, so we can kind of navigate how we have gotten here and how we see things in a bit of a lens, or to test whether or not we are living in a double standard, if there is actually a double standard, or if we are just seeing things through a wrong lens, because it could be possible, right? But before I start out, I do have to make this statement and read this comment to somewhat frame, but also to be honest about the views of senior leadership in the United States of America as it stands. And that statement is: competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work. That was stated and said again by a senior official who was fired from the Trump's previous administration, but has since been provision, well, not provision, but actually seated at um, the Institute, United States Institute of Peace. And so I just want to make that clear that the person who made this statement, Darren Beatty, is heading the institution of peace, right? As the senior, and I'll read the statement again. Competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work.
That's verbatim?
That's
This
verbatim.
quote?
That quote is verbatim. No left or right parameters. I am not putting any spin on it. I am not adding anything. I'm not taking anything away from it. That is a direct quote.
Who said that direct quote again?
Darren Beatty.
Okay.
Beattie. Yeah. And so that statement was made again during Trump's first administration. And as I've said and I've posited on multiple different occasions, during Trump's administrations, we've seen an uptick in hate crimes being acted on primarily by white males. And they've been to a capacity of domestic terrorism. That's my personal opinion. I have every right to have that, right?
Mm-hmm.
To a point to where we've even seen white males off prominent white speakers talking about Charlie Kirk, right? So when we go back and dig into this year in review, we have to take all of these things into consideration, and we have to divvy these things up properly, equally and equitably, as well as Supreme Court justices' rulings, as well as the recent rulings for Carmelo Anthony, Mr. Child. And then we can even look at Breonna Taylor. We can look at Tamir Rice. We can look at the actions against George Floyd, so on and so forth. And the way that I'm framing it right now would seem that it's a bit tilted. But the question that I'll start out with for the panel is are these honest reviews, and do we see quote unquote justice being parceled out fairly? And I'll start with you on that, Lynn.
Okay. Give me the first question again. First part.
Yeah. As we take all things in consideration, are we looking at America through biased lenses, essentially, or are we giving these things equitable and equal, unbiased judgment?
Well, no, the bias is there. Whoever, I don't even maintain the name Beatty, whatever. The person who made that quote, I appreciate the quote because that's you saying the quiet part. That's you saying how you feel. By no means is it smart to say it because it's incendiary. But that is how the leadership in this country right now feels. I don't know if you heard the president being critical of Stephen A. Smith.
I did not hear it.
Oh, yeah. He called him a low IQ individual. He called him a moron. All because Stephen A. Smith blamed the loss Monday night on Trump's presence. He went through all that trouble, made people get there 4 hours earlier, and fell asleep during the game.
No.
Yeah.
Not the president that Mark Rubio said never
hold on. He fell asleep beside the guy who invited him, the owner of the Knicks. Both were asleep on camera. The camera couldn't pick up the snoring, but they were both asleep. And the Knicks lost. So, Stephen A. Smith had something to say about that. And then Trump came back, the way he always comes back, saying that Stephen A. Smith is not qualified to hold a high-level political position like the presidency, and not even qualified to hold a low-level political position. So, when someone says you got to have white folks in charge, I just want to let you know that that's not even an American thing. When I was running an oil and gas company over in Nigeria, we had to bring in a layer of white folks to the tune of $1 million to oversee the Nigerians that were actually running the plant. So you're paying $1 million so white folks can look at what you're doing. That's it. They're not running anything operationally, but without that presence, you couldn't get outside investment because it was an indigenous company. So you couldn't go out to the street to Europe and other places and get investment without there having white people on the payroll that were essentially doing nothing but just being there. It was like a what did the mob call it? A no-show job.
Oh,
basically. And then my wife just reminded me of his comments about black jobs this week. You hear that?
I didn't hear that one. Black
jobs are factory jobs.
Oh, so they've given us what the jobs are supposed to be.
Oh, well, yeah, according to him, the black jobs. Black people are going to be very happy with the jobs we have because we're bringing car manufacturing back to the United States and blah, blah, blah. The whole thing is just who he's always been.
Yeah.
Who he's always been, who he will always be. Him spiraling out of control when a woman just asks him for proof.
Ooh.
And losing his mind and storming off. I've said this almost every episode. Leadership in this country is the number one problem right now. Every problem that we can speak to, war, prices, eggs, whatever it is you want to, speak about, is a byproduct of the poor leadership that we have in place right
now. I can't argue against that.
And the other part of your question was what? Remind me.
I think you answered it, but in reverse.
I thought I did. I thought I was trying to cover both with one soliloquy, but I wasn't sure. But thanks for the opportunity to speak my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll push over to my right. President R.L. Brown, no partisan preference.
Yeah. So, I understand what Lynn is saying about leadership. My problem, leadership doesn't come from neither one of these two political parties. That's the first thing. Let me be crystal clear. Leadership doesn't come from the Democrats or the Republicans, because the leadership of this country and its foundation has been a double standard, like you said. So when they said in the second paragraph of the U.S. Constitution, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men were created equal, that was your leadership from all the political parties before they even became parties. These are all these white men sitting together saying that we can enslave Africans, their property, not even full property. The cows and pigs have more prestige than these enslaved Africans. And when they said all men, they were basically saying that their mothers and daughters and sisters and cousins and any other white woman they slept with wasn't as good as them. And then they doubled down on their religious racism by saying that the God that they worship is a white God. And therefore they could continue on that manifest destiny crap that came from Europe that they said they couldn't stand when the kings and queens, they left the queen part out, but when the kings of Europe said by manifest destiny or by, quote, divine right, God has put me in charge because of my skin color. I stopped right there because I want to do a lot of listening tonight.
Okay. Wig, we're pushing this over to you.
Well, The country is built off of hate. Point blank in the story, it was built off of hate. For anybody to say anybody to say that people of color has ever had a fair shake in this country that we all served in, has got to be losing their mind. Listen, when they convicted the young fella the other day, right? The jury took three hours. If it only take you 3 hours to decide somebody's life, that it would decide when they sat down in the chair.
Mm, mm,
Casey Anthony, the jury deliberated for 2 days. For 2 days, she was charged with first-degree murder, aggravated manslaughter of a child, aggravated abuse, and she was found not guilty. She was only found guilty on misdemeanor providing um, false information to law enforcement. And anybody that can formulate a thought in their head knew she was guilty. Not only was she guilty, her parents was guilty for covering it up.
mm,
But yet nobody paid for that little girl's death.
mm.
We, as a people, we're never going to get a fair shake in this country. I don't care what you do or how much money you have. Stephen A. Smith just learned that. All the pimping and simping he did for this guy, he still called you low IQ. Now what you got to do? You want to run back on this side of the bench now, Clarence Thomas.
Oops.
This is nothing more than a modern day lynching. We will never get a fair shake in this country. And they letting us know that even more so today because some of our great grandparents and stuff have gone away. So I guess they got to reinforce it again to let us know.
Mm,
That's where I see where we are right now. Any country that's willing to accept what Israel is doing to those people over there,
hmm
any country that's willing to accept that can never talk about morals and this is how you should live to any other country. The way that they treat their own people here that built this country, for you to go to another country and tell them that look how this is how you should live, don't worry about how we treat our people over there. They basically said that young man's life was only worth 2 hours and 45 minutes or 2 hours and 30 minutes because they probably took lunch. This
mm.
was decided before they sat down. This was nothing more than a formality. Like Glass, I'm finna wrap it up, guys. Like I told Glass last night. I don't know if you watched the video I sent you, Glass.
I haven't had a
But
chance to get to it,
but
but I.
but basically what happened was a little 5-year-old black kid was kidnapped by two 15-year-olds. I don't know. I watched the video because the guy was speaking to the people who killed his son. One of them last name is Gonzalez, and I couldn't pronounce the other one's last name. They basically kidnapped this little 5-year-old, beat him with a 20-pound dumbbell, beat him with bricks, golf clubs, and beat him with a 70-pound bird feeder, and they threw him in the garbage. And they found him in the garbage. The judge gave them 50 years with the possibility of parole. Here's my point to that right there. Even after what these two people did, even after what they did, that judge still found some type of good in them to give them the possibility of parole. And that showed you the value of a black life. That's where I'm at, Glass.
Okay. Now, Rich, I saw you kind of smirk at that. What was the thought that you had?
No, not what Mr. Wig is saying. I want to go back to something that Lynn said that I thought was really, really important that I missed.
Hmm
So we have someone on the panel that worked across the ocean, worked in the country of Nigeria on the continent of, quote, Africa, that was named by a Roman general. That's
Right.
really, quote, the Garden of Eden, or Ekbalan, or any other name you want to call it before a European renamed it. He made this comment about they had to go out to get, quote, white approval or white, quote, overseers for this Nigerian oil company. When white people, and even us black folks, when we look at the different African countries and we say, why can't they be their very best? Because you see all the beautiful structures in Europe, but you don't see those beautiful building structures in the African countries, at least not to a large extent. I said this from the very beginning. When you cannot control your natural resources and you're not allowed to build your own nuclear weapon, you'll be answering to somebody else. And then when the older black folks said years ago that, quote, the white man, and I hate to say it like that because I'm saying it kind of collectively, that Europe, because they lacked resources, and I'm talking about after the Romans went down to Egypt and ran through all that and tried to whitewash it, after all that. They always lacked resources. So they would go down to Africa or go to the Far East and grab everything they could and go back and build their own society to say that, quote, to manifest destiny, we are racially superior to all others. And I thought what Lynn said about that was so critical because we all know, maybe people don't know, in Nigeria, these different African countries, the Nigerians are the strongest, in my opinion, highly intelligent. But yet, for them to get their oil company going, they had to, quote, go get a white overseer. And then it runs into a deeper issue that I wish Deuce was on, when I rant and rave against the Federal Reserve System, that banking cartel, that central bank. And if you're not part of it, then they'll tell all the other countries that run through a central bank, don't negotiate or participate in any type of African affairs within those African countries. And that's why those presidents, Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali.
Yes.
Now, these three black presidents, these three black men, African men, somehow, some way, they're still alive.
Mhm.
And now, if you're taking a bet that they'll be gone in 10 years, you'll probably win the bet. And I'll end with this. Sometimes you can go too far to the right. Sometimes you can go too far to the left. You got to have some balance. In my opinion, Donald Trump is the last great white man in some white people's eyes. And once his presidency is over, we're going to have a reckoning in this country. Now, all the racists from the left and the right have said we're going to have a race war. We're well on our way. And we have to first, decide how we're going to deal with Israel. I don't agree with how Israel was created. I don't. But they were created. So if I say we as Americans, we can defend our home country, because I'm a defensive-minded veteran, then I have to give support to any other country that wants to defend this border, even though how they got created may have been based off of corruption. But again, I can't be a hypocrite because look at the country I was born into that was based off of corruption, like Mr. Wicks said. And this is why sometimes I just lose my mind and I go off when I see black folks yelling at other black folks, either in terms of endearment or in terms of rage or just in everyday conversation, saying the N-word and perpetuating a negative stereotype when they said they brought us over here because we were inferior. And that's why I get so upset. Because as long as we keep listening to music and having this tough attitude, and we're already considered a threat to America we should have all been dead after the Civil War. Somehow we got through that. And somehow we got through the 60s. I mean, they took Dr. King, they took Malcolm X, they took Medgar Evers, they took Fred Hampton. They took as many black folks as they could up out of here to send us a message. And somehow, some way through the grace of God, the black Hebrews and their children, they still walking around here today. And that's why I said I wanted to be kind of quiet tonight. Because remember, I told you, that Rick Child, why is it when I'm watching CNN, and maybe I missed it, Lynn, I didn't see them cover Rick Child. I'm watching News Nation with Chris Cuomo, who I think is really on the up and up. Now, did his producers tell him don't talk about Rick Child? I can't catch Bill O'Reilly talking about it. But this Carmelo Anthony situation, which I said I don't really have much to say because I want to sit back and watch what people say about this. Now, all of a sudden, this is all over the TV.
Yeah.
So I'll stop
right,
here.
so let me help you with that. So the Carmelo Anthony situation has been news here since it occurred last year. So to Wig's point, he was tried in the court of public opinion.
Oh yeah.
Now, see, and what you may not know or may not heard of is he had a GoFundMe that rocketed past $500,000.
Okay.
And then they had him or his family buying luxury cars, moving into a gated community with these funds.
That was not a lie. That's the truth.
No, let me help you out. So there's another thing called Fund, Send, Go, or I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
It's like GoFundMe.
Yep.
GoFundMe does not allow you to raise funds for someone who has been accused of murder.
Okay.
So there's no GoFundMe money.
Okay.
Now this other thing, Fund, Send, Go, that got up there in the hundreds of thousands as well. No different than the money that was raised for your boy Rittenhouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same deal. But what they could never prove is whether they, you could prove they didn't buy the house in the gated community because that would have showed up on real estate records. But they couldn't even prove if they rented the house. Now, why did they need to rent a house in a gated community? Because a black man killed a white boy.
Mm-hmm.
So the family was getting threats and so on and so forth. So this has been going in this manner. And for me, hearing about it for a year, I only heard the details about the size discrepancy this week. I didn't know the kid was 80 pounds heavier than Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't hear that till this week.
I heard that long.
I didn't hear that he was taller.
Yeah, I heard that
than Carmelo.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. And I've been, here in Texas.
Okay.
Because that place is in Frisco.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Which is right in Dallas, Cowboys country, Dallas, all that stuff.
McKinney, Seagoville.
Yeah, so we've heard about this, for some time. And I wanted to read this quote because I think it's so powerful. Black people are to be feared, but can never be afraid.
Yeah.
So Carmelo Anthony's defense in that I feared for my life, that can be uttered by a professional law enforcement officer, but it can't be uttered by a kid.
Can you repeat that phrase?
Sure.
Okay.
Black people are to be feared, but can never be afraid. Now, how are we doing that at the same damn time?
And that becomes part of the question, especially when you weigh in the balance the actions of Kyle Rittenhouse and Carmelo Anthony. Go ahead. By all means.
Listen, of all the things that me and Lynn have argued and agreed upon, this statement is really a culmination of all of our mindsets. And I'm going to say this for Wig and for you, Mr. Glass. Lynn says, blacks are to be feared, but never afraid. That is your foundation of racism in this country regarding the enslavement of Africans and their descendants. You are to be feared. You are not to be trusted. You are lazy. You are shiftless. You should be thankful that we took your name and your culture and religion away from you and brought you over here, if you survived or not. Oh, but by the way, if anything ever goes down, you can never, ever be afraid. So if we have to blow your brains out, You can't say that you were afraid, so you blew our brains out first. You don't have that option. And so when they talk about those Irish slaves and all these other slaves, see, there's no other group of people. And this is what gets me so worked up and so passionate. This statement, blacks are to be feared. And this is why when we play rap music and we're saying the N-word, not all rappers, but some of them do this. Rap music overall has kept this fear going that we are scary people. But yet if we ever get scared, if I walked down the street and I was scared and I had a licensed firearm, open carry state, and I felt afraid, but I'm black, but my licensed firearm is on me and I pulled it out to defend myself and shoot a white man, I'm going to prison. It doesn't matter what those lawyers say, you're going to prison off that jury.
So what becomes the retort? Because if this is the stance that you've taken, and I appreciate when you do this, but if I'm thinking like somebody who's not black, if I'm thinking like a white man, well, you're being a victim. Why are you being a victim right now? So how do you combat that? How do you converse with that or interact?
Here's the funny thing about this. So last week, Lynn says, Richard, if you go to a whataboutism, you lose the argument. Mm-hmm. Now, one other person has said that to me, but not in person. They said on the TV screen, and that's Bill O'Reilly. I don't like everything Bill O'Reilly says, but I have to listen to what he says because sometimes he's not being biased. He'll tell the truth on some issues depending on the time of the day. He makes the same argument about the what is. So now I say, well, I'm caught. So how do I say that when the black people who raised me, to be honest, they didn't come from the baby boomers. They didn't come from the silent. They were before the silent. I was raised by colored people. So, when I talk to white people and I try to be a fair shoot, when we're wrong, we're wrong. When we're right, we're right. But I kept saying this Rick Child, I'm watching for Chris Cuomo to come on there and go to work. And he doesn't. And now I'm hurt because I think he kind of wants to. Go ahead, Lynn. Go ahead.
I think the child thing is not getting the traction that this is because it's in South Carolina.
Okay.
If this was in New York City,
okay.
If this was in Los Angeles, if this was in Chicago, it would be a big deal. I can't even tell you the city it's in South Carolina. I just know it's in the state of South Carolina.
But now
it sometimes affects how things get covered in this country.
So in response to that, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But in response, some black people will get on me and say, well, did you tell Lynn when under Biden's administration, they did that anti-hate bill to protect Asians? So they was quick to make sure everybody understood that. And then others.
But here's what happens with that. Mm-hmm. What was the genesis of the Asian hate?
They were being jumped.
There was a guy who went into I don't want to call it a gentleman's club, but I will, or it was a massage parlor, and he let me stop. I gotta be serious.
Gotta have the end. No.
I'm trying to be serious. And he physically harmed several people in that establishment, and that was on the hind parts of another incident of Asian Americans being targeted
because
I can't remember exactly that
COVID-19.
Thank you. That because at the end
we had leadership calling it the Kung Flu.
The Kung Flu and the China
virus.
Yeah. And I was trying to work my way back because there was incidents that happened and again, hate crimes increase dramatically under President Donald Trump's watch. And what he's never done consistently, not even partially, what he's never done is said, you have to stop. This is not America. He's never given he's never dignified the office to remove any of the actions or the actors associated with, or the would-be actors or actors associated with the actual crimes. Unfortunately, he has people like Hegseth that fan the flames by stalling and confirming generals. But go ahead.
I'm gonna go back to that Rick Child.
Yeah.
The argument that was made is a good argument. But this is where Congressman James Clyburn needs to put his foot down. And he should have been talking about this and blah, 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 blah. See, this is where I said I don't support political parties because I try to take each case by case. This Rick Child, I'm watching Chris Cuomo thinking he's on the up and up. He's pretty much on the up and up except for Israel, but he's from New York. He has a lot of Jewish colleagues, a lot of Jewish friends he grew up with. New York is a different animal. Okay, I understand that. Okay, because I defend Israel's right to defend itself, but I don't think that they are the chosen people of God. Absolutely not. So they did not put this on News Nation. I did not see it on CNN. I watched for Abby Phillip to talk about it. She didn't touch it. I watched for Laura Coates to talk about it. Didn't touch it. But yet, Laura Coates, you was all over the P. Diddy, the Sean Combs situation. See, so when I'm looking to see if you're going to look at every situation fairly, but I have to also realize you work for a network, and if your producers are saying no, we ain't covering this issue, well then I need you to tone down some of that energy when you go after some of these other situations with Black people. And I'll end it with this. I heard Black people saying there were no Blacks on the jury in the Carmelo Anthony situation. Then I heard Mr. Mark Garagos come on News Nation talking about it. And he basically saying, once you didn't see any Blacks on that jury, the case was already lost. Now, who am I to argue with the famed Mark Garagos? I don't know many people that can argue with that man. However, we had 5 Black jurists on the Rick Child, and Mr. Rick Child still got off. So not only...
But why did Rick Child get off?
Because they said he didn't have malice.
No, he was charged wrong.
He was charged with murder.
He was charged wrong by the prosecution.
Wait a minute.
And that's Law 101.
No, wait, right.
Didn't I say that last week?
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm saying. Even if they had added the manslaughter charge, there's no guarantee he would have caught that either. So
well, guess what? They didn't.
Right. Again, we have seen this. Undercharge him. Are you undercharged? You should have charged more. You overcharge him. You didn't charge him. You didn't charge less. So this is where I come with Mr. Wicks saying, at the end of the day, whether you had Black jurists on that jury pool or you didn't, the outcome was almost predetermined. And this is why I said, after listening to the evidence, if I had been on that jury for Sean Puffy Combs, it would have been a hung jury. If I had been on that jury for Rick Child,
it may not look. From what we've heard recently, it may not have been a hung
jury at all.
What are you talking about? Because if I said no, he's not. If I would have said Rick Child is guilty, it would have been a hung jury. It wouldn't have been unanimous.
Never mind.
I'm kidding. You missed my humor. Okay. Listen. I hear what you're saying, and that's why I like to say the word believe, because we don't know. Okay. I believe if manslaughter had been a consideration, he would have been convicted of manslaughter. Here's why: the jury came back to the judge with questions. Whenever a jury comes back to the judge with questions about the instructions, it's because they need another charge that's not there. That's what I've witnessed when I have watched these law proceedings in action. When somebody comes back and says, what's the definition between murder and manslaughter? But manslaughter is not on the menu. Guess what? That means they're having a problem inside the room.
But there wouldn't have been no problem if I had been part of that jury as one of the 5 Black jurors.
Richard, what's an easier thing to do? Charge the guy right, or get Richard from California to go down to South Carolina and legislate this thing?
Remember when you started coming on here regularly, and I said, just listen to people and watch them over a period of time. See, my story has been consistent. Mr. Wig, if I had to change up on my story, Mr. Wig would have checked me. I have never changed up on my storyline. I said, just watch when black folks said they down for the culture. And I said, I'm not down for the culture. I'm for the community. And I'm telling you, when you get real ones, for example, if I had been one of those 600 that got called to be possible jurors for the Carmelo Anthony in Frisco, Texas, one black woman says, I can't be part of this because I'm afraid I can't send that young black man. I can't send that young black man to jail. Hold on a second, sister. You're exactly what we need on the jury.
Now, was she picked?
No black people were picked. So
Okay.
why would you even
No. I mean, was she in that 600?
Yes. So what I'm saying is, why would you even open up? Because when I go as a registered voter in Sacramento County, I want to hear the evidence. When I get down there, if they say, well, Mr. Brown, Mr. Glass is under these charges. Somebody tried to get at his kids and he blew his brains out and blah, blah, blah. Can you look at Mr. Glass and make an unbiased decision? Absolutely. I can make an unbiased decision over this person.
Oh.
Well, he's black, though. Well, I can't control that. You have to talk to God about that.
Wouldn't know that until you said something.
When it comes to jury selection, you don't know what trial you're getting ready to oversee. You don't know that. And the attorneys know exactly who they want to pick and who they don't want to pick. So they ask you baited questions, and depending on, as you know, probably serving on a jury, they ask you hypotheticals to see what you're going to say, to see if they want you on their jury. So you don't know you're getting ready to get the OJ case, but they're just trying to see your frame of thinking and if it follows along with their agenda.
You may not know the exact case.
You don't know the case.
They dismissed 3 black jurors.
Right.
And the reasoning was not because of their race, but because they were educators.
Yeah.
And they don't have educators on the jury because of the nature of the case.
Why didn't you keep your mouth shut? Because I can guarantee you, when white people are getting on that jury who already have a prejudged opinion on how they're going to decide that case or any case. Because so that the black person, like you've already said, man,
hold on. So with that being the case, my man, with that being the case, we should just resort to do what they do. They lie to get on.
Do they though?
Yeah, but guess what? See, the defense and the prosecution have resources allocated. They don't just this jury thing is just not you show up and just like you had a pickup game on the basketball court.
Right.
They know where you're coming from, and do you want to be lying in that situation? So if someone says, "What do? You gonna lie about what you do?"
I don't have to lie about anything.
Are you gonna lie about what you do? Yes or no?
I don't have to lie about anything.
I know you don't have to lie about Richard. Are you going to? No.
I'm not lying about anything. What are you talking about?
So the fact that they're educators and they were eliminated for that is because they told the truth.
No. Just because you're an educator and they asked you, hey, we know that you're in education and stuff, and we have a situation. So now they're kind of talking about the case, and the case they're talking about. You could have said, no, I don't have a problem. I can be unbiased. See, this is the thing.
But you don't listen. The people in control, the prosecutor. See, both sides get to eliminate who they want to eliminate. Yeah. Now, do you know what county this took place in? No.
Carroll County.
Collin
County.
Collin County. Do you know the racial makeup of Collin County?
I think it's 40% white.
40?
Yeah.
You talking about the child, or you talking about Carmelo Anthony?
We're talking about Carmelo.
Yeah.
Carmelo Anthony is a completely different makeup. Child was 40% in South Carolina.
No, 40% in Texas for that
Collin County?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I'm finna look that up.
40% white? It's higher than that?
Yeah. In the Frisco area, yeah.
It's like 70 to 80% white.
Let me look it up real quick.
I'm gonna just say it's mostly white.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So your pool of eligible black folks is limited for 2 reasons. because it's a small population, and because that small population is not putting themselves in, like you were saying about the lady, in harm's way. Because now this woman is showing me, from what you're quoting, a lack of courage. And from the way she said what she said, she believes the man is guilty. And she don't want to put him away.
No. She said she could not. She said, from what was reported, this educator said, I wouldn't feel comfortable. I don't think I could vote to put this person away.
All right. Why are you voting to put him away? What do you believe when you're saying that? That he's innocent or guilty?
She hadn't heard the case yet.
Right. But what her words say, if you just go by her words, she believes it's a good logical conclusion to believe.
No, you don't know what she believes.
I don't know. I said believe. Believe.
We don't know what she believed.
I know what I believe. Okay. I know what I believe.
Okay. Right.
Based on her words,
right.
I believe that she thought he was guilty.
All right. So I can turn, but wait a minute, hold on. See, this is where I catch people, and I keep saying this.
He's guilty, but not first-degree murder guilty.
So it's about 53% white.
Okay, so I said 40, 53%. All right, 53%. All right, so listen.
Hold on, Richard.
11% black.
Huh?
11%.
Thank you.
Okay.
Small, and then that 11% is not all registered, so smaller. This is my point.
All right. You know what? I tell you what. I'm gonna let y'all talk, because every time I come and I bring it and I stay consistent, there's always an argument back.
Argument. You know the problem is, Richard.
No. Lynn, you always got an excuse. Hold on, Lynn.
No excuse.
Lynn. This is why
you interrupted me.
This is why when Mr. Brooks first got into it with you over a year and a half ago, and somebody else got into it with you, you always want to come across like you know everything.
No, it's not coming across as anything. You know what I want to do?
Y'all go ahead and talk.
Put a period on my sentence.
Y'all go ahead and talk, because no matter what people say,
let us talk.
Have the answer.
Let us talk.
No, y'all go ahead.
Let us talk.
I'm done.
So what was the dispute? Let me ask you that, because I was typing.
Let me just complete a sentence. Por favor.
See?
Based on what the woman says about what she doesn't want to do, she's not coming off as she believes the child is not guilty. That is what I believe when I listen to those words. I don't need to know what's in her brain. I'm evaluating what came out of her mouth. And what came out of her mouth, in my opinion, says, I believe he's guilty, and I don't want to have a part of sending him to prison. And that's a problem, because another thing that we have to be in this country as Black people is more courageous. We're in this spot. Interrupting me. You're interrupting me. Please stop, Brooks, because this is how big Brooks got into it. Stop.
Don't talk about courageousness. Don't talk about courageousness with me.
Listen.
Don't talk about that with
once
me.
Again, I'm talking.
Because when you start talking and you want to talk about courageousness when it's in your viewpoint. So this is courageous is nonsense.
Well, he did say in his opinion.
Yeah. Do you have that?
Go ahead.
You have that, President.
Go ahead. Keep talking.
Look, and hold on. Does that look familiar?
Oh, you ain't calling him a Trump.
Getting up and walking off camera look familiar.
Yeah, wow.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, wow.
We as a people,
somebody was at my door. Somebody was at my door.
We need to be. You're interrupting me again. You're interrupting me again.
I'm going to keep interrupting you because somebody was at my door.
Why?
Somebody was at my door.
Why do you have to interrupt me? Why can't you just let me finish?
Go ahead, finish. Because you always do this kind of crap. You always want to talk like you know every damn thing, and you don't.
I don't know everything, but I know what I know,
and I know what I know.
Then please stop interrupting me.
You've been talking and talking. Get to your point.
Because I can't finish
Why are you yelling for, Lynn?
Because I can't finish.
You got to let him finish.
This is why when black folks talk about getting on the jury, it's people like him that
People like me.
question. People like Lynn.
Hold
People
on,
like
hold
me
on.
that'll register to vote, go to jury duty, and get on the damn thing and do my job. That's people like me.
So here's the question.
You're a
Here's the
joke.
question.
You're a joke.
When you were saying the we have to be more courageous, where were you going with that?
Willing to get on a jury and fight for justice. Not conclude that if you participate, you don't want to be a part of someone going to prison. That is not what you're called to do. What you're called to do is listen to the evidence, and then after the case has been made by both sides, go back into that room and make a decision based on what you heard and what you believe. And if you're not courageous enough to do that, you shouldn't participate at all, including your comments.
Wig, you've been trying to jump in. What were you going to say?
You know what? That's I don't even know. I don't even know. But I'm actually sitting here thinking, I asked myself today. I've talked to my son today. He was talking to me about it, and and I asked him. I said, if you just think about something, what you shouldn't have to ask in this country. Who do you think would get a more fair trial? A black man with an all-white jury, or a white man with an all-black jury?
Well, goddamn.
How old is your son?
Bud is 27.
Okay.
That
So
that
what was
is.
the answer?
He said you got to think about that one.
Yeah, I'm sitting up here like I gotta think about that. No.
Well, that in and of itself is an issue. If we have to sit and think about that question,
Exactly.
right?
That's kind of my point there.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm
No,
not-
no, no, no. I'm just saying that's my point. The fact that in a country that we all serve for and we all say we love, we still have to ask questions like that. When we say one nation under God, and every man is created equal, this, and this. If you got to ask questions like that, that tells you where your country is. That
But it
tells you
goes
where your
back.
people are.
But it goes back to what you said. If you build your country off the enslavement of a race of people, and you can throw in a few white Irish, whoever, you claim that they were slaves. I say they were 7-year indentured servants. Okay, whatever. You did that while also being sexist towards women, while also breaking, you talk about the law, but you broke more treaties with Native Americans than we can shake a stick at. Okay? And then you run through the Southwest, and even though they may have lost the war, how you treated those original Mexicans from both sides of the border is horrendous. But then you want to talk about God. So pardon me, this country will fall one day. That's the unfortunate part. It will. Now, that's 250 years is a big conspiracy thing because a writer wrote about Empire's fall, except for Rome. They had two periods in Rome, the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire. So, there are certain white men who are trying to hold on to this white superiority nonsense. It's going to catch up to them. But it's going to be unfortunate because a lot of people, when you're at war, a lot of people have to die. And when I see black folks talking about they're down for the cause, but I know the truth's not in them. The labor is great, but the laborers are few. And I hear all these black folks talk.
Is great, but the laborers are few. My question to you is, with your forecast of the country falling, is that something that you are openly hoping or secretly hoping for? And are you a part of this country?
Well, first of all, I serve the country, so I'm always a part of this country. That's the
No,
first thing.
but I'm just talking about your comment.
I'm not rooting. Well, first of all, I serve the country. That's the first thing.
Okay, well, first of all, I would like.
No. Hold on. Let me finish because I'm gonna answer your question.
Thank you.
I'm not rooting for this country to fall.
Okay, I'm just asking because sometimes when you speak, Richard, and I'm not trying to do a tit for tat, but you talk like you're here, like you're suspended, and because you don't have a preference of anything, you're just floating. And so it's like you feel like this makes you blameless, and that's not the case. You have to land somewhere.
I don't have to land anywhere. That's your opinion. My opinion is this.
Exactly. That's why we have this show. Right. And I'm not trying to tell you. I'm just telling you what I view.
Okay. Like, well, let me tell you. So
let me what I'm saying.
But you interrupted me when I'm trying to answer you. So let me finish. Okay.
No, because you went this way and you never answered my question. So
I did answer your question. I said I do not.
Let him finish.
I said I do not want to see the country fall. But if you're asking me,
I didn't hear that part.
If you're asking me, like I told the teacher, and the class jumped on me, and the teacher defended me. If you start on corruption, you will end on corruption, because that's the basis of righteousness. If you don't build if you don't build your house on righteousness, you will fall. Period.
I missed the part on what you said. You didn't want.
No. Am I rooting for the country to fall? No.
I wouldn't have asked you that question had I heard that. So my apologies for that. But I just wanted to know. It was a statement that you made. I just wanted to know because sometimes we forget that we're in the country and a part of all of this mess, and it does touch everybody. So if you, because there are plenty of people, and it's our right to not be happy what's going on in our country. That's our right. We don't have to like everything that's going on. That's the beauty of the country. But at the same time, you don't want to be anti. Wait,
hold on. And I said this before I met y'all. And I said this when I first started coming on this show over a year and a half ago. I said you have two types of veterans, in my opinion. You have the kind that will strap up and come blow your brains out. That's not me. I'm the kind that's going to protect the home soil. Nobody's coming over here to take nothing from us. If I want somebody to take something from me, there's enough people of all races in this country, called a capitalist country, to take from me. I don't want China or anyone else taking anything from me. But do I believe that we should go over in these other countries and have these wars? I absolutely do not. Because I know how my ancestors came over to this country. With that being said, I try to be consistent. I don't believe that when Israelis say that they are the chosen people of God, they are. Absolutely not. But do I believe, I think May 15th, 1948, when they established their country or their state, or however you want to politically define it, through hook or crook, they got it done, so they should be able to have their country. If those other Middle Eastern countries say, we'll never accept you because we know that the original Jews, Black Hebrews, and they ain't white like you. And so with that being said, if they say we want to get Israel out of here, and Israel says, well, we're going to kill you before you kill us, okay, that's called war. Because initially, when we went over there, I was against us going over to Iran. But I made a statement, and that's why I don't want y'all to look down on me when I say this. If you go to war with somebody, you got to kill their wife and their children. Now, that's not righteous, even though it was in the Old Testament. But because the way they set up the Geneva Conventions, in the European mindset, there's a way of how we do these wars. But in the Middle East, they didn't agree to that. They said, you come for me, we're going to come back for you and yours. And then let the chips fall where they fall. So on one hand, I'm disagreeing with Trump. But when Lynn says, well, hey, we're over here now, we have to finish it. Well, then if we're going to finish it, we're going to kill everybody. But just don't kill the Iranians. No, you got to get rid of Lebanon too. And then they say, well, Richard, you're out of control. We don't do things like that. Then, okay. Then I just say, what do you want me to say?
America does do things like that. But so let me throw this out here. There's a couple of things that I want the viewership to know and understand. I don't stop what would be perceived as contentious debate on the panel because I think it needs to be done. It has to be explored. We don't all agree with everything we say. Passion is a part of the potion for communication, and it's a part of the things that we have to do, a part of the things that we have to say and work through as well. And so what it does show people when there is a little contentious debate is that we can still work through it, right? We're not what people claim that we are, which is not just a monolith, but it shows that we have the ability to disagree contentiously, but still continue the conversation. And I think it's important the world over for people to be able to see that and witness it and understand, oh, well, yeah, they actually can get heated. They do have passion that runs high. We all have our own foundational beliefs of what we want. And so I won't stop it on purpose. I think it has to happen. I have a lot of people that come in our comments on Facebook that I'm fighting against, right? And it's rarely on behalf of me because I'll show clips of myself, but I'd rather show clips of the panel. And the comments that are in there are so ridiculously unintelligible that, I've showed them once and I'll show them again and I'll start doing a little more work on them. But it shows the low IQ in which these folks actually have to try to engage people. It's a ridiculousness. It's a ridiculous symptom of America. And I purposely tag MAGA in our videos so that we can see exactly what's happening, because I can guarantee one thing. If there was somebody who was actually truly MAGA on the panel and they had a back and forth like Lynn and Rich had, or Steph and Rich, or whoever it is at the time, because sometimes it's me and Lee, right? I guarantee that they wouldn't be able to continue the conversation.
Right.
I guarantee that there are points that they'd never be able to come back on and actually have a discussion. So I just want to say that I'll probably clip that part and put that out so people can actually see that and hear that. And I got it again. It's Wednesday. I keep asking my daughter not to schedule work on Wednesday nights. But let me state this before I move us into Around the Horn. Tomorrow on the legacy table, we're going to continue this actual conversation, and it's not going to be about double standards, but we're going to actually look at the parallels between the Chow case and Carmelo Anthony, as well as, I know he had to take off. He said he had to leave at 10. I talked to him earlier. But we're going to look at multiple different cases that's happened around the country and weigh those in the balance also. And I didn't anticipate having to have these conversations this week, but since things have progressively panned out the way they have this week, I've got to put my thumb on these and keep them pushing. And another reason why, actually, I'll say that for my Around the Horn comments, because next week when we come back to the Pulse, I want us to begin to actually go into what both, and it's funny because the thing that you both actually agreed on was the jury, and how when we get on it, being on a jury at the end of it, right? Being able to have yourself in a position to be on a jury, the importance of being registered to vote and getting on a jury so that you can, like this. Anyway, we're going to come back to that. I want us to circle back around to all of that. But with that being said, let's push to Around the Horn. And then tomorrow, if you all have time, it's an hour earlier tomorrow. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m.?
8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. But we're going to jump into more detailed information about both of these cases and their outcomes and how.
That's going to have Wanda and your other cousin come on.
Mm-hmm. Dirt and Wanda.
I may come on tomorrow, but I have to really keep my mouth shut because I know they're going to have a lot to say.
Well, what's the point of keeping your mouth shut if you're going to be on? You got to open it.
I can throw in a few 2 cents here. And even when we do this Around the Horn tonight, because I did cut Lynn off, I'm going to give my time to him. So, I'm just, I sit back and I watch people. And I'm not saying this to Stephanie and Lynn, but I'm saying this to other Black folks. Y'all do all this talking, y'all do all this dancing and swimming and roller skating and listening to hip hop. But when I really need you to show up, I can't find you. And I'm a very funny type person. I ain't trying to say I'm this or I'm that. But when you call me and say, hey, look, my ass is in a situation, and whether I did right or whether I did wrong, Richard, not Richard, come get me. Then I'm gonna show up. We can talk about how you screwed up down the road over a drink while we laughing about it. I stop there.
All right. So we will. I lost my banner. I'm working on a little sleep, y'all. Work with me.
You heard stir fry.
Ooh.
Yeah, send us the link. Send us the link tomorrow too. You got to send us that link.
Yep, I'll make it tomorrow and push it out. But that stir fry, I got a whole story for another time. So stir fry.
Send us the group text link for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stir fry dead to me, but that's a whole nother story. All right, around the horn, Stephen Lynn, you are up.
I came in a little late, but I was listening, and I really don't have anything to say other than what you were talking about, Jay Glass. I believe that it's healthy, not to get so upset about disagreeing about things, but to push through. Sometimes when things get hard for me, I'm learning to say not to say so that I can deal with whatever is to come. We will see peace when we see him. So I don't like it when things get really, really, really heated, because it makes you uncomfortable, and because everybody is not the same and everybody has different triggers. So if it turns violent, whether it's verbally or physically, it makes me uncomfortable, and then friendships are ruined. So it's not that you can't say what you want to say, but you have to practice. We have to practice the self-control, and and try and be fair. It's okay to be heated, but again, the person that loses it, they lose more than their friends or their relationships. They lose a lot, and respect each other and allow people to check you just like you're trying to check them. Then it's a better place. But it's challenging, and I'm glad that even after what's said and done, hopefully with this group anyway, I'm glad that we can reconvene and come back together with no animosity, no real animosity or hurt.
Agreed. You said a lot of important stuff, but your connection was dropping every now and again, or it could have been me. I don't know. Say that again.
I said it looks delayed. Now it's caught back up, but I'm sorry you saw that.
That's all right. All right. Go ahead.
Could you hear what I was saying?
I heard every word.
Okay.
Perfect. Then it's me. Don't worry about it. It's just me. It's my connection. All right. It's on you, Lynn.
All right. So I'm just going to end it where we started. Is there a double standard in this country? Yes. And for me, you have two options. You can complain about it, or you can figure it out. So, the courtroom double standard is you got to get a better lawyer than the prosecutor. So if we go and we look at Simi Valley, remember that? Rodney King?
Yeah.
Powers that be moved the crime from LA to an all-white suburb.
Right.
And what happened?
I think they were found innocent.
They were found innocent. Yeah. Even though there was video of them beating a black man within an inch of his life, they were found innocent. Why? Because there was nobody in that pool in Simi Valley that could even look and be sympathetic or empathetic for Rodney King. Now, that was a battle. But a couple years later, the war comes. The war is O.J. Simpson. And the reason why O.J. Simpson was found not guilty was because the courageous black people on that jury wanted to send a message, regardless of how they felt about his guilt or innocence. Because years later, when you listen to those jurors, what did they believe? Who they believe killed the woman?
Well, which ones are you referring to?
I'm talking about the jury for the O.J. Simpson trial.
So there was more than one black person.
Most of them believed that he did it. This is what they said.
Okay.
But because of Simi Valley, they were sending a message. Richard, please. Please. Now, I didn't ask you for your time. I'm asking for my time. Because all I want to do is complete a sentence. I'm going to be 58 real soon, and it's harder and harder to keep these thoughts in my head until they come out of my mouth. And it gets even more difficult when I'm interrupted. That's all I ever asked for in the show. You can believe whatever you want. You can say whatever it is you want to say about me. It's just got to be one contingent. It's got to be true. Now, you know, when Wig brought up the conversation he had with his son, unfortunately, the question has to go deeper. What's the crime? And what's the jurisdiction? Because the difficulty with comparing the Child case to the Carmelo Anthony case is because those two are not on the same side of the courtroom. Child is a defendant, but we're rooting for the prosecution in that case. The prosecution is representing the victim. Carmelo Anthony is now the black defendant. So you have the black defendant versus Asian defendant. It's a little bit different. I'm hurt and I'm disappointed and saddened by the fact that in both cases, the young black men involved in this had weapons. Because in the Carmelo Anthony situation, he's under a tent in the rain. And if you don't want to go with somebody 80 pounds heavier than you and taller than you, guess what he could do?
Walk away.
Could walk away. Get wet. Walk away in the rain. Because I'll bet you my life. Because his sentence started today. I bet you my life. That's the choice he wished he had made. I could have just walked away and got wet and went to somebody else's tent. I could have went to my own tent. But when, we keep forgetting the rules, we have to be better than average. We can't be caught slipping and expect to get off, to get over. And if we are going to be caught slipping, we got to get representation. Now, you probably don't know this. The two lawyers on both sides of the courtroom, they used to work in the prosecutor's office together.
You get that picture of being together. Yep.
Those guys.
That's gonna be a problem.
Those guys. Somebody could have made an argument, but it's rarely done with conflict across, defense versus prosecution. But those guys worked together. They came up together in the prosecution's office. Then they left prosecuting. They both became defense attorneys. And at one time, they were defense attorneys at the same firm. Then one of them decided to go back to government, and one stayed in the defense attorney lane. Now, I'm not saying they colluded or anything like that, but for me, that would not have been the lawyer for me. I would have got a better lawyer, because there's always a better lawyer. And unfortunately, I've said this many times, these courtroom antics come down to a trial by combat. And having gone through this process myself, having hired a $400 an hour lawyer so I wouldn't go to jail, I know how this game is played. And that's our system. You know, we don't have the system like Iraq. Remember Saddam Hussein?
Mm-hmm.
What happened after he was found guilty? 30 seconds later,
They
Gone.
they had a rope around his neck.
Yeah.
And I'm exaggerating, but maybe a minute and 30 seconds later. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Walk through the tunnel.
They went outside that courtroom, into another room, up some steps, threw a hood on his head, threw a rope over his head, and bam, he was dead. So we don't all do it the same. I appreciate the spirit of our system. Innocent until proven guilty. But it doesn't always work out that way for us. Carmelo Anthony was guilty the moment that dude's life stopped. And I don't know if you knew this, but he was a twin.
Yeah.
So the added agony to the family gets injected into this situation. So unfortunately, it's undisputed that he took another person's life. And that's the sad part, that and I'll call on, I think it was you, Richard, who said this, and I've used this quote since then. Don't judge me on my decisions when you don't know my choice. Remember saying that, Richard?
No.
Am I giving you that? Or am I giving that? I'm giving you.
That's a pretty good line, but I didn't say that. Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said it.
Something like
I
that.
think you actually did say that. Yeah, sometime last year.
Yeah,
What
you said it a while ago.
Yeah.
I said, don't judge me on my decisions
If you don't know my choices.
Yeah.
Oh, I may have said, don't judge me on my decisions if you don't know what I've gone through. I may have said it like that.
Well, it was my choices, because that's how, decision is a result of choices.
What's he talking about? It was
I don't,
related to the
babe,
court case.
we don't need to go into that deep. My point is, we know the choices Carmelo had. Carmelo could have put up his dukes.
Mm-hmm.
Carmelo could have walked away. Or Carmelo could have, and here's another thing, you gotta open this knife that he used. It wasn't a switchblade or something like that. It was a foldable knife that is small enough in Texas not to be illegal,
Yep.
but illegal at a school event. So all of these choices. Why are you have a knife in your pocket at a track meet? Now, when I ask these questions, I sound like I'm hating on him when I'm not. My intent is for people to think about your choices, because Stephanie reminded me of a time when I was a teenager. My boys got beat up at a party in the suburbs. So they retreated back to the hood for reinforcements. I was one of the reinforcements. I was in the back seat riding bitch. You know what riding bitch is, right? I was on that hump in the back seat.
Yep.
I gets into the back seat with a gun. I get out of the car. I get calls all kinds of P's and F's and all this stuff. I'm undaunted. I'm out. Guess what happened? They went back to the party. Somebody got killed. Next day, our hood is crawling with cops. This is the first time I ever saw an undercover cop in my life. Guy was a black dude, dressed more like Columbo than a police officer. And he was out for blood. And I was like, I wasn't there. And you know how many of my homeboys said they wish they had got out of the car like I did? Everybody except the driver and the guy with the gun. Everybody else wished they had got out the car because that was a choice that I had. And I'm not trying to come off as being better than anybody or knowing more than anybody. I don't consider myself nothing special. All I know is that my purpose here on this planet is to inform and educate and help people make people's lives better. And you do that, in my opinion, by making smart choices.
You hear clarify.
And in both instances, with the child case, the young man made the decision of going into an establishment with a gun. I believe no gun, he's still alive. I could be wrong. I could be right. Doesn't change what I believe. Same thing with Carmelo Anthony. No knife, no 35 years in prison. Those are the good decisions. Those are the good choices that we need to start making. And it starts with us at home. Because in both instances, the parents have been called to scrutiny about their children's actions. Now, we've seen, I don't know where that was that in Georgia? White father goes to jail because white son shoots up a school?
Yep.
That was Georgia?
I think it was Georgia. There's been a couple of cases.
Right. So what I have to remind people all the time is white folks get in trouble too.
Yep.
White father got convicted on his son's action.
So wait, hold on a second. Wait a minute. See, I want you to stay consistent.
Okay.
I want you to stay consistent because I'm not disputing what you say, even though it was never proven that Cyrus walked into that store with a gun. That was never proven. When he got shot and he fell to the ground, he said the gun fell out of his pocket. That's suspect because the witnesses didn't see no gun that he pointed at Mr. Chow. When Andy Chow first told the police that he didn't point no gun, and then later on he recanted and said he did point the gun. That's for
tomorrow. That's for tomorrow.
Okay, but hold on. But when he talks about these decisions,
choices.
But I want to take you back for a second. Now I want to see if you feel the same way about Trayvon Martin. Because when that George Zimmerman was following him, if Trayvon had just gone up to what somebody's door and said, "Hey, look, this man's following me. Can you call the police? I'm afraid for my life." But when he decided to fight George Zimmerman, he put his life in his hands. But would I feel comfortable telling Trayvon Martin's mother and father that? No, I would not. I would not feel comfortable having that conversation, particularly because it's Florida.
Would you feel comfortable saying, "I wish Trayvon Martin had run for his life that night"?
I wish he had never ran.
Please, can you answer my question, Richard?
So say it again. What's the question again?
Would you feel comfortable telling his parents, "I wish he had run for his life that night"?
No, I would not feel comfortable telling them that.
Okay, thank you for answering the question.
Yeah,
I would have no problem saying that to them.
Well, because, and this is where you and I kind of sometimes we cross paths, and I get into it with you about consistency. I have said from the very beginning, over a year and a half ago, when black folks get in trouble with the police or with anything in the streets, if you run, you just caught a case. But see, I'm from St. Louis, and so many black folks have been killed in St. Louis from running from the police. So many black men have caught a case because they was riding in the car, wasn't no drugs in the car, and the cops was like, "Oh, you're gonna catch a case today."
Okay, except George Zimmerman is not police. So
Right.
do you believe that if Trayvon Martin had just took off running, because here's my consistent statement, human beings are built to survive. So running from that situation is a survival instinct.
You get shot.
Do you believe that Zimmerman would have pulled a gun and tried to shoot this guy while he was running from the scene? Do you believe that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
I don't.
Because I'm a firm believer.
I don't.
As long as you, let me tell you something. If I had a child and he said, "Well, hey, if I ever get afraid, Daddy, what do I do?" You do not run. Because if you run from anybody in the street, you just caught a case, you just got shot. If it's the police and you're running, they're going to shoot you in the back and say you had a gun or drugs on you, you had drugs in your system. But Lewis, so my view is tainted. Now, I was raised, in fact, the people who raised me, the colored folks, didn't teach me that. It was my mother and my aunties and uncles and the people in the community. And that's why when the police pull me over, and Mr. Glass knows this, he knows better than anybody the type of cars I had in St. Louis and how I didn't get my head from getting blown off. And that's when I did have a licensed firearm, where I had to control my temper. So when the cops would pull me over in St. Louis or Illinois or in Texas, boy, I know the game, and I cannot guess wrong at all on anything. But other black men, whether they have a criminal record or not, they see things totally different. Okay, I respect that. But when you say these things about choices, we can go back to all these cases where black men and women have interacted with the police, and I said, if they could have just did this. But the problem is, that Rick Child hurts me.
Yeah, there's no police in Chow or Zimmerman or Anthony. So the choice is fight or what? It rhymes. Flight.
Fight, flight, or freeze.
Well, we don't do freeze where I'm from. It's
Okay.
fight or flight. That's
If you run,
human survival instinct.
those human survival instinct will get your head blown off. If you
Why
run,
not? Why
if you have a confrontation with a store owner and you're African American male and you run, you're probably gonna get shot.
But that's the difference. That's the difference in what y'all are saying, because he said the cases that he's talking about, they do not have law enforcement directly.
But even if they don't have law enforcement, if it's a store owner,
that's not Richard. Have you ever run from something?
no. Wait. Hold on a second. Have I ever run from someone trying to blow my brains out?
No, nobody didn't see here. Listen,
Okay.
was somebody trying to blow Carmelo Anthony's brains out? No, I'll answer for you. No.
Wait a
So
minute.
he could have just
Right.
run from that.
No, I understand that. Remember, I said last week, I don't really have an opinion on this Carmelo Anthony. I said this last week. You've never heard me.
It didn't exist last week.
No.
You
I
said
said
it. You said it in the group chat,
Hold
but you
on a
didn't
second.
say it on the show because it wasn't a part of the show last week.
Hold on. I said this already, and James knows this. I said I don't have an opinion on this Carmelo Anthony. I said this is a little trickier. So I have not defended him or gone against him. What I've simply said is, let's be consistent, because when you talk about the choices he made, and you're not wrong, and the choices that Cyrus, he has a hyphenated last name, that he made. But then if you say it like that, then you have to look at every case, whether it was with law enforcement or not, because at the end of the day,
Law enforcement makes a difference.
It does.
Law
Okay.
enforcement, listen.
Hold on, I'm gonna acknowledge that.
Listen.
Hold on.
But I would say if law enforcement was involved, because I'll tell you, I have a cousin that was killed in May of 2020 by a police officer.
Okay.
He was pulled over for drunk driving. And he did not want to take those cuffs. And he ended up getting possession of the officer's taser. Now, here's the double standard about the officer's taser. When the officer possesses the taser, is it a deadly weapon?
Of course it is, but they won't say it is.
No. Let's follow the rules here. When the officer possesses the taser, it is not a deadly weapon.
Yeah, according to law, it's not deadly.
When I take possession of said taser,
It's deadly.
it is now a deadly weapon. My cousin struggled with the police officer, got control of his taser, and once that happened, the police officer executed him. This is May of 2020, right on the cusp of COVID-19. So when law enforcement is involved, you do not run. You stand pat. You follow the lawfully given instructions by the peace officer, whether you agree with them or not.
So Lynn,
You take the cuffs and you go to jail. And
Okay.
you hire someone and you get out of the shit.
Well, I've said that, and I've said that about interaction with the police. I've said it from the time I've been coming on this show.
And we don't have a disagreement there.
No,
But
we
in
don't.
the three instances we were just talking about, Trayvon, Cyrus, and Carmelo, there is no law enforcement present.
So let
So
me
in those cases,
so let me
get
finish.
out of there.
Hold on a second. Let me finish that point, though. This is where you and I go different ways. When law enforcement, yes, you have to comply with law enforcement. Even when they do things illegally, you comply and fight for your day in court. Okay, we agree on that. Now, you and I agree, and even though we have strong disagreements, you and I agree on this, and other black men will disagree with this, will strongly disagree with us on this. But anytime a black man, I'm just going to go to St. Louis, anytime a black man or a black boy in his teens, anytime you have an interaction with anybody in the street life, any business, anybody, not just law enforcement, but anything, anytime you have an interaction, I think about Ralph, Pat. I think about Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
Big Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you have an interaction as a black man, your life can be gone just like that. It doesn't matter. You can't guess wrong, or you will be gone. Now, that's St. Louis. Now, we ain't, well, you know, we are as bad as East St. Louis. We don't get the credit because Chicago and New Orleans and Newark, they get the credit for being violent black cities. St. Louis is a very violent black city. And I'm telling you, the only reason why I'm alive, because I can't guess. Because if I have any conversation, if I see somebody jump on somebody, if I see a brother jump on his girlfriend in the street, if I open my mouth to defend her, to protect her, I probably just got shot. And I had a situation a few weeks ago. They were arguing, and I saw these brothers run up on my street, jump out the car, and three little pretty black girls up there in that little apartment. And I said, mm-hmm. And then they jumped back in the car and they ran out. Then they came back again and they hiked. Next thing I know, the cops are at my door. Oh, they were shooting. Oh, yeah? So anytime a black man opens from the time he's 12 or 13, because, you know, they say we're always a threat. You already said that. We're considered a threat, and we can never be afraid. So anytime a black man or a black teenager has an interaction with anybody, you're guilty and you could probably get shot. That's the unfortunate thing about our history in this country when you're viewed as being racially inferior. That's what I've said. So when you say, hey, these men, these people with people who are not law enforcement, you know, their basic instinct was to run. As long as black folks are teaching other black folks, if you're scared and it's not law enforcement, you should run for your life, you probably gonna get shot. Don't you run. You have to use your communication skills. And at that point, you probably gonna get shot anyway. So I'm looking at in the worst case scenario.
Who's gonna shoot Carmelo Anthony?
Well, in his case, hold on. In that case, that's a special case that I had no opinion on. Because when I heard about the situation, I said, why didn't he just walk away? Because that's what I was saying in my heart. But here,
I got to pause y'all. Go ahead,
and get off.
And here's why. Lynn, you took just about every last point that I was finna be making tomorrow. You took almost all of my points, man. No, it's good.
But hold on. Listen, Lynn is not wrong. He's right. I feel the same way. But here's the big problem. This is something we as Black America, in my personal opinion, this is what hurts us. We know in our heart, we can't prove it. Just like we can't prove that God exists. But we know in our heart, if the roles had been reversed, and that had been the white teenager stabbing Carmelo, he would have got off.
I don't believe that. But make it this. Richard, make it this.
Okay, go ahead.
White kid stabs white kid. Is somebody going to jail?
Yep.
Probably.
Yes or no?
Probably.
Yes or no?
Probably, yes.
Be courageous enough to say yes or no, please, for me.
Okay, yes. How's that? Because you know if Mr. Wig was on, I had forgot about the Casey Anthony. He threw that in our face, and I got quiet.
Well, Casey Anthony once again had a better lawyer.
Okay, I'm not disputing that.
I know, but I'm just saying that's the part people never look at. People don't look at the trial by combat lawyers. You know, OJ got off because he had Johnny.
Well, okay, and
had he stayed with Shapiro, that nigga would have went to jail.
Hold on. You're right. But in some cases,
because Shapiro thought he did it.
Yes. No, look, and this is why I didn't want to get off on the tangent because OJ makes everybody upset. I thought he was innocent all along, and after this conquer, and I still think he's innocent. Now, if I'm wrong, then I'll be wrong. But Johnny has me convinced. Now,
with a
that's
glove.
bad.
With a glove.
Okay, that's fine.
Let me do my round so I can go get my pay.
Go.
Lynn, I'll give you that victory. I'll take the loss on OJ because I've taken more losses on OJ with black folks and white folks. I'll take the loss. I don't think he did it. I watched that trial, but I could be wrong. But in these other situations where sometimes it's so clear cut that sometimes I do sound like an older, angry black person because I just know if the roles had been reversed, then they would have made excuses. It wouldn't have mattered about the lawyers or not. The white kid would have got off. But am I saying 10 out of 10 times the white kid would have got off? He would have killed the black kid? Not 10 out of 10. I'd take 7 out of 10 though. I'd take those numbers. I'm just being honest. But when they tell us as black folks we can't go on juries and make decisions without race being involved, but yet white folks can have all white juries and convict us and it's no problem, and we know that some of these white people on these juries were racist. So this is the problem. This is the problem when your foundation is jacked up, nothing's going to come out right. No matter how, you can do the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment, the Civil Rights 64, 65 Act. Who cares? We didn't start right in this country. And as it says in the Bible, if your I feel like I'm cat. If your foundation ain't righteous, it's kind of like you being married to somebody, you cheating and she ain't. You're not equally yoked. But if she cheating and you cheat, work it out. Work it out. So, if you go to court and they cheating, and I hate to say this, because if they cheating, then you won't have to do a little bit unless you want to stay righteous with God. But the way you're saying it, when you go to court and it depends on the lawyers, well, look at me. I didn't have any money. They wouldn't indemnify me, and I wouldn't do certain things. So I took a loss, even though I knew I was right, but I took the loss. So
how do you think it would have turned out had you had an attorney better than their attorney?
You know what? I don't think I tried to find an attorney. I couldn't find one, and I was
Richard. You're not answering the question.
It wouldn't have worked out any differently.
So if you had an attorney superior to their attorney, you believe it would have been the same result?
Yeah, because I'm fighting the Democratic Party. I'm fighting SCI International.
Oh no! See, if you got a better lawyer, you're not fighting anything. You're better lawyer.
Lynn, I couldn't even find a lawyer who wanted to go up against SCI.
I know, Richard. I understand that. All I'm asking you keep hypothetically and whataboutisms, but when I turn it on you, I can't even get you to answer my question.
Because I think you're wrong.
Wrong about what?
Wrong. Huh?
Wrong about what?
If I would have had a lawyer, do you think I could have beat them? No, I couldn't have.
No, he said a better lawyer.
Better lawyer than their lawyer.
I would have still lost.
Why?
The better lawyer never loses.
The better lawyer wins. As a rule,
Lynn,
the better lawyer wins these contests.
Lynn.
Just like
I gotta go.
The better NBA team wins best of seven.
So Lynn, what you're saying is it doesn't matter about your race as long as you have a better lawyer, you'll win in court. If that's your stance,
OJ is the best example of that.
He's an outlier, Lynn.
Right, but he's the best example of it because OJ killed a white woman.
This is why
a Jewish man.
Correct.
And got
That's
found
correct.
not guilty.
But Lynn, that is like 1 out of a million cases. How many cases where black men have been gone to prison for crimes they didn't commit, regardless if they had a lawyer or not? You can have the best lawyer in town.
Richard, those people, those Project Innocence people, didn't have anything better than a public defender.
Correct.
They didn't have. See, my fundamental point is this. That's why it's a trial by combat. I think I asked you before if you saw Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
The whole series.
Right. So when they have the mountain, you got to come up with somebody that can beat the mountain, right? And actually, the guy did beat the mountain until he started running his mouth and pulled the poison spear out of his chest. And then the mountain punched him in the face and knocked all of his teeth out. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. but it was a trial by combat.
Right.
That's what happens in a courtroom. And that's why you're able to elevate out of that prosecutor silo. And where do they go? They go into being
Defense
attorney generals. That's how we end up with Blanche.
So Lynn, so this is where we fundamentally disagree. But I'm just one black person. If you come on the show tomorrow and make that same statement to these other black folks, because you think I'm a little silly, let's see how they respond to that.
Listen, all it is what I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe it because it's logically sound, but I also lived it. I lived it.
Right. So
the government accused me of stealing $3.5 million.
Right.
What did I do?
You got a good lawyer.
I got a better lawyer than the U.S. attorney for the state of Delaware.
All right. So that's your lived experience. Everyone has their own lived experience as black folks going through the criminal or civil court system. Mine is a lot different. And I'm telling you, I know without a shadow of a doubt, what I believe is, even if I would have had a lawyer, look, I had a lawyer initially, paid the man $20,000, and he didn't do a doggone thing. And he was a reputable black lawyer, has a name for himself down in LA, and didn't do nothing for me. Just took $20,000, took $10,000 out of my pocket, and then the $10,000 I had raised to different people to help me fight this case. And he didn't do anything. And the first black lawyer that was supposed to help me fight this situation, when I was over at the union, turned his back on me. So your experience with lawyers versus my experience, and I'm gonna tell you why I get a little upset. The first black lawyer was recommended to me by another famous black lawyer politician. And when he called me that day on Monday and said, "I can't help you anymore," I knew that the Democratic Party had got to him.
I got one last question, Richard. If Johnny Cochran had been your lawyer, would you have prevailed? Yes or no? I rest my case.
Hold on. I'm going to say no.
I knew you would do that.
No, well, hold on a second, because
I'm not saying no.
No, wait a minute.
I gotta go.
Let him go.
Yeah, I gotta go. We can do this all night.
Yes, we can.
And the game is
on. I want to be good.
But you got to send us the link for tomorrow.
I will. Yeah, I definitely will. But here's my quick around the horn. With everything that we were talking about and trying to wrap up and talking about the legal system, so on and so forth. Why are we still having black men against black women conversations?
What?
Why are we simply focused on entertainment and being other people's entertainments and not actually focusing on registering to vote so that we can focus on getting in these daggone jury boxes? Why are we still entertained, or why are we allowing our children to go out in neighborhoods or to events and run amok right now? It ain't the time for that shit.
Because young people this is me and Lynn and kind of you. This starts in our generation when hip hop got really started in the 80s.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
But these are different times also, right? Okay. We didn't have a Trump in office.
Okay.
We didn't have a Trump in office. We didn't have a person who put somebody else in a position of power who would literally say out loud, competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work.
You know, to be honest,
hold on, this is my around the horn.
I'm cooked.
We didn't have that same situation. So one or two things is going to have to happen with our community. One or two things. Either we get serious about the situation we're in right now, or we just tap all the way out and we allow whatever to happen. Because we cannot continue to look the way we're looking out here in these streets. Still keep your asses in your houses. We still don't need to be out here in the streets protesting and doing none of that. They want us to be the boogeyman. They need us to be the boogeyman, and we cannot give them that. For the Asian brother who threatened us essentially to have a good time and withhold our dollars, you forgot who allowed you motherfuckers to come over here and be where you are and get the money that you got and form the motherfucking communities that you got. Never bite the hand that feeds you, because it'll slap the shit out of you. You should humble yourself, young man, and I hope you hear this. And if not, I'm gonna make sure I find your name again and I'm gonna tag you in it, because you said a whole bunch of bullshit publicly. And I want to say publicly that you're full of shit. None of you all would have had a fucking right to vote if it wasn't for us. None of you all would have been able to send your kids to college if it wasn't for us. Make no mistake about it. The life that you are living, as well as the other minorities in the United States of America, was built off of the backs, the drops of water being hosed off, the droplets of blood being taken out, and the chunks of skin from dogs. You motherfuckers got there because of us, and you're welcome. The next time you open your mouth to say that we owe you something or to threaten us with a good time, say thank you instead, young man, because you motherfuckers didn't do none of this by yourselves at all. Go to Earth 2.0, remove us from this equation, and figure out what you would get then. Humble yourself. You had no platform to be saying that while trying to dress like us. With that being said, good people, I will have to, and I'll play the video tomorrow. I'll play the video of the guy tomorrow, just to put in the period under the exclamation point. But let me go get my baby, and as always, I absolutely thank y'all for hanging out with us. Gotta go. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless and good night.